Ladies and gentlemen, may the force be with you, as it has been with me in creative mode here over the past couple of weeks. Now, I do have a pair of Star Wars builds to showcase for you today that I'm working on, as well as one build that is for Phoenix Starworks. It's going to be a starter HV. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and have a look. Now, I've yet to come up with a name for this cruiser. Cruiser of the Imperial variety, Galactic Empire. A lot of inspiration I've drawn off of this has come from the Arkwind's class, the Gladiator Star Destroyer, and a little bit of the Raider. I may have touched base on this in my last showcase, but some things have changed. Not great changes, but little things here and there. We'll go over that later, but let's go ahead and have a look at some of the detail work that's been put in. So for the most part, the top I'm done with for block work. There are some areas I need to touch up, like the top of this bridge here. The back of the ship's going to need a little bit of work as well still. So the top for the most part is done as far as block work. Still working out the texturing as well, but that also, again, for the most part is done. So after that, what remains is texturing the bottom. And some of the intersections of the side. Of course, textures needed for the back as well, in addition to a little bit of block work. But it's close. It's not too far off. So this ship features quite a bit of turret placement. So the range is about 73 turrets. Now, that's not considering a varied configuration of. So, for example, with these turret clusters here, you could swap out these three and put in an artillery if you wanted to do that, or you could do vice versa. But it's it's an ample amount of firepower either way you go. So that's what the turret count. It's about 73, plus or minus that. And of that 73, I would say about 66 can be brought to a single target. And it's pretty ridiculous once you've upgraded those turrets to tier 2 and optimize your turret type and stuff like that. It blows through ships pretty fast. I took it up against the Tovera and the fight was about 3 minutes. That was, of course, considering a remove shield, then decapitate through eliminating the core strategy. That's also using had the innate 4 laser beams and added 2 for a total of 10, and then with a 12 gun artillery suite, I was able to punch through the top head of that thing to get rid of it. But yeah, this thing fully kitted is pretty nasty. That fight was it was one pass on the Tovera, and he got my shields down to about 55%. So again, that was about 3 minutes. So this thing is a in-game bruiser once you've leveled it up all the way, so to speak. So you've stuck all the cores in and put your shields in and all that stuff. Yeah, this is definitely late game / in-game build. It's got a life of expansion that is true. I think at CPU level is around 9 million. So yeah, so some considerable farming to get it there. Now I would like to. It's kind of crazy, but I'm gonna say about trying to get this thing to spawn in at 2.1 million. That'll depend on how many turrets and thrusters and all that come out of that configuration. So it could be coming in pretty skimpy. If it's something like a situation where I'm spawning it in with just like 2 minigun turrets, then I will probably have to put you know, at least a 1 core price tag on there. But it might be possible. Um, yeah, so it's got a little bit of expansion potential. So I'll go ahead and take a look at the interior. I guess we could look at some of the different lighting aesthetic values. But all right, let's go ahead and turn the lights out and see what we got here. So this is a look at some of the lighting textures I have in place so far. Again, this area is a SV parking pad. So I was looking at considering, you know, ease of access. You go through here, and then you go up, and the bridge is right there. So that's an option. All right, let's go ahead and have a look on the interior. Again, not much has changed from this bit here inside the hangar entry. Now, I have been working through some iterations of this here. This is going to be a receiver for a particular SV I'm working on, which I will show here once I'm done with this. So an SV to work in tandem. It's a tie craft. So the idea, again, being that it would hook to the top of the ceiling, and then that would open up space here at the bottom to allow additional placement of HVs or SVs or whatever you got going on. Yeah, still no changes to these hallways since the last showing. I did expand the ship a little bit, and that resulted in some change to the farm, so I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with this area here. It expanded by 1 block, so that's got to be worked out. Again, haven't touched too much on this here. This is still work in progress. Same thing here with this area. This is kind of finished, so I'll move on from that. Yeah, so transitioning into the first engineering area, working through this iteration. So this is the pentaxid positioning as well as the shield, and then of course you have a warp here. So this section here, I'm working out what I wanted to place. After having taken that out for some combat trials, I did realize that this thing fully kitted is a gas guzzler, so I'll probably look at throwing in some additional fuel tanks in this area. Yeah, it's really does suck down the fuel. So, and I do have the 48 solars placed, which is pretty amazing. So I have to look at expanding the fuel capacity of this thing. Right now, it's I think 200. Yeah, it's 200,000. So even then, that kind of goes out pretty fast. So I'll probably look at doubling that at the very least. Maybe even try and push for 600,000. But that might be pushing it too far. We'll see how it is. Yeah. Again, so I'm trying to make all of the or at least most of the devices accessible. The thrusters and all that stuff. So again, like this is a transition to engineering the rear section. So accessible thrusters, you know, this RP value, or you know, some people like that to manually repair any kind of damaged thrusters from the inside. So kind of a call out to people that have that sort of conviction. You know, me personally, I do like accessible devices as well. It adds a aesthetic value to have as many devices as possible in display. So that's always something I seek out. Still working out the access points for this is the these are shield encasements, and at the center 3 fusion cores. So the ideal configuration I was running with was 6 of the big shields and then 3 fusion reactors. So that would be 4 capacitor shield or 4 capacity shields, and then 2 recharge. So that coupled with Bastion was putting me at about 238,000 total shield value, which is an absolutely great value. I was in fights with like Cameron class battle cruisers. They were maybe getting me down to like 95% before I was eliminating them, and again with the fight with Tilbera, it brought me to like 55% before I incapacitated it. So just a great configuration. And but of course, you know, with that 6, you know, that's up to you if you want to do like a 3 and 3 or 4 and 2 or some other configuration. Um, so this is a gravity generator, which covers about 95% of the ship and should be 100% of the value of the area that you're going to be using. There's just a little bit on the tail section of the ship that I don't think anybody's really going to encounter. So this section here, there's a few changes that I'm planning. So again, the small shields are going to be your first bit, and then of course the core 9, I'm going to go ahead and push that to the back of the ship. So that will be associated with the extended core area. So that'll give it a little more survivability. And then of course transitioning to the bridge here, this area, I guess originally I was just going to do like deco and stuff, but I don't know, it kind of slipped my mind to the idea of putting like the first aid, the infirmary and stuff here, respawn, medic stations and all that stuff, which would make sense. You know, I like to do that anyways with the entry points of ships, so you can get an easy top off if you're coming out from harvesting drones or whatever. So it'll be a full suite: shower, respawn, all the medical devices. So yeah, that's about it for the update for this. Again, I don't have a name for the ship yet, so if y'all have any ideas, feel free to drop it in the comments below. But you know, we'd be thinking something along the lines of whatever the Imperials named their Imperial Star Destroyers. So, you know, Dominator or Mauler or something to that effect, that's fine. Or, you know, if it's, you know, a little more wordy, like, you know, Solar Rain or, you know, something that invokes a little more thought, that's fine too. So, yeah, look forward to that if you've got any ideas. Okay, so next on the itinerary is a starter SV that I'm working on. A TIE, I don't know, fighter of some description. No, it's more like a TIE Advance. That's rather where I'm drawing some of the inspiration from. So a starter so far, it's still going through texturing and a little bit of block work, but yeah. So we're looking at, I guess this is going to be the approximate price tag. Maybe a little high on some of the carbon, but you know, with this build as well as like how I play with other builds, I want to give it a range of upgrade options. So it's not, you know, it doesn't have to necessarily be one and done. You can put some life into this thing and drag it out to some of the later stages. You will be able to get a shield in here. Some of the bigger thrusts, what are these things? The medium jet thrusters for Reforged Eden. You should have some forward thrust. You can place those here, as well as strafe thrust, and then there's a placement for additional lift thrust. So that'll all increase your attributes as far as performance and stuff. So coming out the gate, it's going to be about 70 roll, 98 pitch, and 46 yaw, 49 lift, 49 forward thrust. So not too bad for starter. Again, you know, those characteristics will be defined as you upgrade it. So you got space for, you know, additional generators to accommodate some of the growing energy demands, and then your shield and Pentax over here and whatever else you want to place. Yeah, I guess you could core 9 it. Easily you're going to have a setting for You know, your basic extender as well as the the pair of improves, and so from there you can decide on what you want to do, if you want to throw in additional CPU, or if you just want to swap that out for shield, and shield extenders for Reforged Eden. So you do have a default two-gun placement. Now you can stretch that out on the wings here, or you could go for a turret placement on either side of these wings. This is also going to be a gun line right here. Now if you want to, you could also drop a turret down here. So you could be looking at potentially 1 to 3 turrets. So I think you could slot like 1 turret here, maybe radar here. Speaking of which, that reminds me, I need to put a detector on here, so hopefully I don't forget. But yeah, it's got a lot of function that you should hope for. So you got your O2 station, you have fridge. We're looking at about 3,000 for harvest and about the same for ammunition. You got armor locker so far, space for pilot and gunner or passenger, Wi-Fi, 1 RCS. So you could go for, with this top section, you could put, you know, one of your improved or whatever, and the basic, and save this placement for something else. Or you could just lay a constructor here. So that's an option. Yeah, so like, so this would be some of the expansion lanes here out of this side. I'll mark this out by the time it's ready to go out the door, but so you'll be able to take these out and put in some of the jet thrusters for strafing. And as far as so one of the cons of this ship is it's a pretty compact profile, and so I'm finding a couple things. I'm trying to maintain the aesthetic without degrading it too much as you upgrade, and it looks pretty decent. You know, it doesn't look absolutely ridiculous. So, but in order to maintain that, the build is compact, so I didn't really get a chance to try and block off some of these explosions. I have for some areas. You know, this would be steel here, so I'm blocking off the fuel. I have isolated to some effect the ammunition controller, and having tested that, it doesn't blow up the seats. So that's a that's something. The front section, you're gonna have some steel here, but for the most part, the rest of the build is gonna be either cargo extensions or plastic. So don't expect it to be a block tank. You know, I will enhance that to what effect that I can when I start putting it through explosion trials. But for the most part, I guess it's staying true to the effect of like a TIE craft, and they explode easy. But yeah, you can offset that to a good deal by use of shields, and for Reforged Eden, you know, expanding on that with the extenders and stuff like that. So, but I'll try and fight this thing a little more, you know, get as much out of it as I can. So again, the way this is going to link into the build, the CV that I'm working on, as yet unnamed. Actually haven't named this ship yet either, so that's also something in the works. So again, you know, this is going to be a vertical mount. As you start backing up to it, you'll be able to have a look at the inside of this area, and that'll help you navigate to the rear, or to the docking position. All right, so there you are. You're all docked out. You know, once I get a sensor in place, that'll help facilitate that ramp coming out. So, yeah. You can get in and then emergency hot drop and fly on out. I set up some sensors so for the ship hangar doors, so that way it'll, you know, once you drop out, it should not slow you down as you transition out. So yeah, so that was the idea. You know, it's just trying to pursue that that Star Wars theme where they have like TIE fighters and stuff mounted in racks from the ceiling. So that's what I got so far. And then also the bonus is that you're not cluttering up this space here. You at least have one SV that you could get out of the way, and then whatever you want to place down here, that's fine. Right. So it looks pretty cool too. The rule of cool. Yep. So pretty cool. All right. So the last thing is a Phoenix Starworks build, which I wanted to do a starter HV. And so, well, this is what I got so far. It's kind of an APC, if you can think of like an armored personnel carrier. So it's got like some strong Warhammer vibes to it. So I'm digging it, man. I really like this thing. It's probably gonna be a little pricey as far as like the carbon, but you know, 2K there. But you know, again, the feature with my builds is I like to have a range of upgradability, so that will be there too with this build. So, for example, here you should be able to slot in some of the what Reforged calls the plasma thrusters. That'll help for your strafe. Yeah, I'll see about, I guess, maybe making something here for that as well, or it could just go to larges. So, 2 or 1 minigun turrets. Not sure. I have to fight CPU on this one, but I'll try to get in as much armament as possible for you right out the gate. So this is the ideal configuration I'd like to come out with. So it might be that I have to drop one of each of these things, or you know, maybe 2 of the turrets that are gone and it's just the minis, but we'll see. Hopefully I can work something out. But you'll have placement for a few more additional turrets, like back here to cover your rear side, or you know, maybe that could be like a you know, a mining laser, or a mining turret rather. So inside, pilot and co-pilot, working out the placement of storage. Should be a clone chamber placeable later on, and then of course we have a drone hatch here, or a vertical exit if you wouldn't want to look at it like that. So the block value is it's going to be a steel hull, like some of these areas here. This is just plastic, so you know, not the biggest tank in the world, but you can throw some shields on it and then you know, upgrade the weaponry. It should work to help you raid some of the less fortified POIs. You know, you should be able to get away with, like, you know, some of the things that aren't a bastion or like a drone base or something like that. Now later on, however, if you like playing with the Phoenix Starworks line, and later on you also happen to spawn in a cataphract, then you know, maybe you have some faction mates with you. Yeah, they could, you know, help assist you fighting the POI, or you know, just whatever other HV you choose. It could be a like, you know, a wolf pack type thing going on there. So it looks pretty cool as you upgrade it though. I like it's got some teeth, like for Reforged, and you throw on a pair of artillery turrets, and this thing's pretty nasty. Or for vanilla, you know, you could go railguns or plasma. Well, I guess not plasma, but you know, whatever. So yeah, it looks. I like it. I dig it. So I'm still kind of working on the aesthetic value, but yeah, for the most part, it's there. Just gotta add some more detail and then some textures, and you know, finesse the cost. Oh, just jacked up with those guys now, but so if that's what it is coming out of the gate so far, I'll see if I can bring these numbers down a little bit. Unlock level 5 was pretty good, so I'm just saying, gotta think, and you know, can a level 5 player come up with this kind of bank? I guess you could. You know, maybe you're level 7 by the time you get it all, but I don't know. Maybe in a faction setting or 2 players, that can be an option. So yeah, I got a little bit of space to work there. So we'll see what else I can add. But you know, this would be placement for a constructor. So a little less the size of a cataphract. So whatever you're fitting a cataphract in, this should fit as well. Yeah, so with these builds, hopefully, I guess the best case scenario for a release on this would be the end of the month, but yeah, at late stage, it tends to run on a little bit with fine-tuning the texturing and block work and um, checking off on a list of things that are my pet peeves, you know, as far as the running down textures. And then, of course, LCD work. I want to get in a good suite of LCDs to really sell the effect of, you know, the Empire. So think Imperial logos and all that sort of thing. But yeah. Now this, you know, these guys could roll out potentially a lot sooner than that ship, but you know, with this, I'd like to try and tie in these two, the CV and the SV, at about a same time release. So whenever both of these are ready to go, then they'll start hitting the workshop. All right, that's it, folks. If you enjoyed my content so far, feel free to hit that like button and also subscribe, as this helps the channel grow. And also, it keeps you informed about future content to come. Now, I'd like to take this time to thank my patrons personally: Captains Monty Mantis and Mysticoot, and Pilot Adrian Bordiano. Thank you guys so much. For anyone else interested in joining the fleet, there's a link in the pinned comment below. Patrons do get insider exclusives and insight to my thoughts and plans about future builds, and I do appreciate you guys' show of support of these massive time sinks of builds with your patronage, as some of which take more than a month to complete. Thank you, folks. Till next time, LyfeForce out.